Hey guys, welcome back. And today, as you can see, we've got the shade. We've got the all of the shading done. I did all of that off camera, which I did post you guys over on Instagram. What I was doing. I kind of had like 5 minutes whilst I was cooking my tea yesterday, and I thought to myself, wow. Instead of just sitting here, and I kept looking at this picture, and I thought to myself, oh goodness me. It just needs a little bit more. Just needs something before I color it in tomorrow, which was today now, and I couldn't decide yesterday and this morning. I was thinking all night, like, what shall I use, pens or pencils? So what I'm thinking is, this is what I normally do, guys. Is I'll use a bit of Copic marker pens, which are these ones here, which is my brush pens. And I got my double-sided pens. One's like a felt tip. Well, they're kind of like felt tips, but they're similar to a Copic pen. But they're not. They're just, they're cheap and nasty. But they still work quite well. I have used them a couple times now. They've got double edge there. You can see you've got like a fine tip, which you can't actually see. So let's get rid of my stuff in my other hand down. You've got your fine tips there, and then you've got your what's meant to be a brush pen, but it's not much of a brush pen, to be honest with you. It still works pretty good. Gives you like a fine line. These ones here, these are actually my favorite, but the whole reason of me getting these other pens here was so I could carry on coloring, because what happened with these ones is they're starting to run out because I started to overuse them. But as you can see, they are like a brush pen. Now can you see? You can bend them like a paintbrush. And to be honest with you, they're really, really good pens. And I can't find any more of these, which is really annoying. So I think I have to go online and find some of these. But again, I'll probably use pencils for like a background or like light shadings, and then use these for the Spyro picture, the Spyro himself, and maybe the castle here, and like the fire or the lava that's here, because you've got the evil side and you've got the good side here. But I'm not sure. I still don't know what I'm going to be using. But as I go around, guys, and as I go along, why don't you leave me a comment in the comment section? Let me know, as we're live now. But if you're watching back, then you can still leave a comment and decide next time, because I have took a picture of this one now over on my tablet. So because tomorrow I will be digitizing this one. It'll probably take me quite a bit of time to digitize it. So I'll do the live stream like I normally do, for outlining everything, getting the picture done. It depends if I want to. I may outline it, I may not outline it. It all depends, because there's so much here. I don't think I need to. I can just sort of color it in as is, and sort of add where it needs afterwards. But that's tomorrow. Today is coloring in the freehand picture that I've drawn the past couple of days. And on Monday, we drew Spyro himself, and then my camera wrote down, which is always good. Check Instagram for more of that information. Or actually, no, I think I explained in yesterday's video what actually happened. But then yesterday, I went and did the background here, did the castle, and I did the evil castle. And I thought today we would do some coloring in. But like I said, yesterday, I sort of finished the pencil drawing. I did all this finishing up sketches yesterday, and then I inked the whole thing afterwards, as I always do, guys, because on a Monday I always do a sketch of the piece that I want to do for the week. Then on a Tuesday I will ink that piece, and then today on a Wednesday I will ink it. Sorry, not ink it. I'm kind of inking it, but these aren't ink. These are like an alcohol based ink, so it's kind of ink but not ink. It's the only reason I use these ones, guys, because they blend really, really well, and they also give you a nice shade if you need to. So you can go over them a couple times, and I probably will use these pens here, because these are a lot more better to blend than these ones here. These are really, really new, so when I put them down, they bleed a little bit. So I'm not too happy with that when that happens. But we'll use either one sort of where I need them to be, and a few pencils to sort of give it maybe the gradient on the rocks here, and some gradient on the rocks here, and maybe more likely I'll be coloring this in here with pencils, but you've also got rocks here as well. So we'll see what goes and what I think works once I've finished doing up Spyro, and we'll see what's going on. But again, guys, my name is Blut084, BLUT084, Art and Games, here every day on YouTube, occasionally on Mixer, but every day and night over on Instagram. And as always, guys, in the background, I have playlists going, so you guys don't, when I'm sort of sitting here just concentrating on what I'm doing, I don't always chat too much. So I have a playlist in the background, and this week is obviously Spyro. So I've got all of the cutscenes in the background telling you a story about Spyro the Dragon, and we've already gotten to past the first two games, the first two storylines of the games, but now we're at the third stage of the third game. I thought we'd get that finished up today. But if you want to watch that, don't forget when I digitize this, when I digitize this tomorrow and on Friday. Again, the first half of the live stage, first half of the digitization will be in live stream, so you can join me there. But afterwards, I will be recording it because you can get a better view on what I'm actually doing and what tools I'm using. Purely because the live stream doesn't show you everything, because what I do is I use this camera here and I record my screen. So definitely don't forget to hit subscribe and hit the bell so you know when I've uploaded those videos, so you don't miss the goodness and greatness. There's me, my own little hat. There we go, father of a cat. Yeah, so you don't miss anything, guys, and what will be happening throughout the rest of this week. And as always, and on next month, I will be changing the theme, because this month is fire and fireworks, and that's why I've been on Spyro, because it's all to do with fire. Last week we did a Chinese heritage picture, which was Mulan. And I thought, because it's fireworks, well, I would use sort of where fireworks came from. And obviously they came from China, and that's where fireworks were first created. So I thought I'd do Chinese sort of heritage sort of piece. So I did that one, which was this one here, if I show you quickly. That's Stan Lee. I did a dedication video, obviously, because he's a great man, but more information on that. But so we did this picture here. And again, I digitized that one, so don't forget to go and check those digitizations out. And at the beginning of the month, as it was fire and fireworks, I did a piece called V for Vendetta. And if you know anything about the book, or if you don't know anything about the book or the graphic novel, go and check that video out, guys, because I got the full audiobook in the background, so you guys can listen to that while I draw and enjoy that as well. But like I said, we've got Spyro in the background that I'm going to go set up in a moment. I'll get that going, and we'll get going on the colouring of this. Don't forget to give a thumbs up if you like this video, but let's get going with Spyro the Dragon.
Young dragon, all our hope now lies with you. When you wake up, it will be a different world. But know this, you are not alone. You have allies. Even in the darkest of times, there is always hope. But sometimes fear clouds our vision. Sometimes our strength gives out. And yet sometimes when all seems lost, a light shines through the darkness. And we are reminded that even the smallest amount of courage can turn the tides of war.
What colour should I use? Let's move you over here a bit. Here's my beard. I have quite a large beard, and you can find out what I'm going to be doing with this great beard over the next month, as obviously coming into Christmas, and I've got plans for this great beard that I've been growing for the past year.
Spyro, open your eyes. Get up.
Cinder, what happened? Where are we?
I don't know. It's all a blur.
Yeah, me too. My head's pounding.
Shh, wait. That's not your head. I hear it too.
What is that? Spark! Is that you?
For once, I wish it was. What is it doing?
Let's not stick around to find out. Come on.
Ah, what is your problem? Oh, this can't be good.
This chain is slowing us down. We can't fight it. We'll have to move in unison. Follow my lead.
So guys, like I said, that's why you got the playlist in the background. Hopefully you will enjoy it, but if you want to see the full video itself, I will put it on the digitization, as it'll take me a while to get that done, so you can see it up in the background like I did on the the Mulan picture, which I digitized last week.
Hey, Spyro, man, you're alive! Sparks! It's good to see you too. You okay? Little stiff. Voice keeps changing. I'm good.
Hey, this reunion is really touching and everything, but shouldn't we be going? Unless you want to wait for that thing to climb back up. I hate to think what it might do to Sparks.
Who is he? I don't know. All he said was, "You're making too much noise." Yeah.
I like him already.
Spyro, Cinder, how do you feel? Anything broken? Shaking a little, but not too badly. Thanks to you. I am relieved. I had feared I might be too late. My name is Hunter. Hunter? You've been tracking me for far too long.
Okay. Alright, I was Instagramming, guys, making sure everybody knows that I've gone live.
Sent me to fight. That was 3 years. But
I've
that's
got 3 different types of purple, which I'll be using, and I do actually need my reference picture, so bear with me while I pull that up quickly, because I do not want to get any of the colours wrong, because that would be horrendously horrible.
We are not safe here. Follow me. Whew. You go first, Cinder. It's safer.
Okay, so it's very purpley, as you all know. So I don't really know what purple to use. I got my block paper here. What purple should I use? That one.
Give us a moment to gather.
This one here. This is just where I'm dabbing on something. That colour there.
It's fascinating how your kind draws strength from these crystals. Dragons are truly remarkable.
Yeah, you say that now. Till one tries to
Lighter shade of it.
one and you heard.
I am aware of Cinder's past.
And then that one's a dark again. I'm going to give another colour, another go on that lighter colour in a minute.
Go on.
That might be good for like a shaded. Actually, that could be good for the whole sort of Spyro picture, and then afterwards adding in. Hang on.
You can wield many abilities that others can.
Add in that afterwards.
Now it is time to awaken these powers.
This one here,
Fire.
really good. I might use this one here.
And Cinder. While most other dragons can master.
I don't have this in a lighter colour. That's the only reason I needed other colours as well.
Darkness has gifted you with abilities most
Maybe if I just start
poison
in the bottom corner with this one down here.
and shadow.
Make sure you can see everything I'm doing.
We must be getting close.
What is that? I've never seen one like that before. Spyro, be careful.
It isn't natural. That crystal radiates dark magic. Destroy it quickly.
Hands aren't working today. Right, okay. I'm dropping everything. Lovely job, Lee.
This way.
Okay, let's get rid of that. And use this one here.
What was that? There'll be time for that. We'll follow the river. It will lead us to shelter where we can rest. And then we're off to Warfay, the Dragon City, where Ignitus will be expecting us. Go. Tell Ignitus I have found them.
It's no use.
Well, maybe if we try twisting.
Twist what? It's magic.
I can watch this all day.
It's very dark. Maybe I'll swap to the other color.
He's returned.
I'm going to swap to the other colors, guys, because that is very dark. That's another reason I don't use those very often.
Fueled by hatred and malice, reclaiming the throne and the temple, which, through some dark magic, he now suspends above the land, a symbol of his dominance. We've been at war ever since, and every day.
No, I don't like these pins.
Will
The little bits on the end.
ours.
You were all counting on me, and I
That's a much
failed.
better
How could I
color.
let this happen?
Some things are beyond your control. You shouldn't blame yourself.
Spyro, you're lucky to be alive. All of you. That was no ordinary creature back there. It was an ancient earth golem from the deep. They are the embodiment of destruction summoned by Malachor himself. They are dark time.
He stopped. I have to stop him.
Whoa, slow down, tough guy. You don't need to go around picking fights. I mean, we just woke up after being frozen for 3 years.
Got stuff to do.
What's her? Is she sleepy? Hey! have such little respect for our laws that you form an alliance with the very ones who caused all our misfortunes.
Chief Prowless, Malifaux, he alone is the one responsible. This dragon is our last hope. You must see that.
Yes, the purple dragon. I know the story, but unlike you, I have not forgotten what they say Malifaux was like when he was young. I have not forgotten either what she has done. I relied on you, Hunter, as I must rely on all of us in this village to protect it. But you chose to abandon us and bring the dangers of the outside world with you when you return.
The dangers are already around us. Don't pretend to ignore them.
Hey, can't you guys just stop arguing? It's getting awkward for everybody.
Rublin! In the valley! Prepare your weapon!
Right, now I've done that, I'm going to go over it with a darker here.
Now see what you've done.
But let us go. We can help.
Our warriors can handle this.
Now is not the time to be stubborn.
Hey, a lot of weird stuff happens when they get upset. I'd listen to them about it. Look, dragons! Yes, we are saved! Woo! Ah! Just the dragons! We are all gonna die!
Is everyone all right? No. Meadow is missing. He had gone upstream to search for herbs this morning and has not returned. We have to go find him. No, it's too dangerous to mount a search now.
I'll go. I'll find your missing friend. Hunter can come with us.
You are free to act as you see fit, but Hunter stays here. However, if you remain true to your word and come back with Meadow, I may reconsider. Don't bother returning before then, as you'll likely succeed only in attracting more gruftlets to our village.
Thank you, friends. You saved my life.
Finally, some gratitude. You're welcome.
You've met Chief Prowless, no doubt. Not all of us are of the same mind.
Well, that's putting it mildly, isn't it?
Can you move? We need to get you out of here.
I'm sorry. I'm afraid my leg is broken. Just go back to the village and tell them where I am.
It's a very dark color, and I feel like I've
If we
ruined that.
return without you, he'll likely assume the worst.
Yeah, and blame us for it.
Oh,
I'm going to leave that dry a second, guys. Let that soak in together.
understand. There's a raft.
So what I can do is,
Perhaps I could pull myself.
probably because I used two colors in once,
To launch it, you'll need the weights from the supply cave.
I can always go over it. Oh, actually, yeah, thinking about it, I can go over that again.
There was a hermit who lives beneath the waterfall at the other end of the valley. He has a key. But the cave is hidden. Look for the markings on the wall to open the path.
Oh, it's easy. Raft, cave, Havana, Got it. Yes.
We'll come back for you. I promise.
Soaking into the page. I was thinking about talking about soaking into going over. No, it's just going into the back of it.
What do you mean?
So I can see here it has already soaked in, and the two different colors of not like mixed, but not thing. But I did use this one here. So on that note, should I?
You are the Black Dragon. Sinda, the terror of the skies.
Should I? Or should I? I don't know, guys. I'm going to leave that go for a second. I do not want to ruin it while I'm still going.
You don't have to listen to this.
It's actually soaked in quite well. It's not wet, so I'm going to swap out colours. Got two different colours of yellow again. Maybe we'll go on the wings now. So let me have a test. So this yellow is going to go down after that debacle. So that one is very light.
Let's go.
It's already started shading there, you can see it. Hopefully you can see that too.
I'm fine.
I will post this up on Instagram so you can see actual full picture, because the picture that you see sometimes when you get from the live camera here doesn't always show up what I've done. That's why I always post everything over to Instagram. And I'm kind of wishing I didn't do anything to it now. But I always do that until I finished it. Right, that's that one there I've done with. Stay there, you.
How did I look fine? Thanks to these two dragons.
Meadow, please forgive me. These dragons willingly sought to help you when I chose not to. I do not share your faith in this dragon hunter, but by putting you in chains, I committed an error.
We all make mistakes.
Yes, and I shall try to atone for mine if you will permit me. Use the Forbidden Tunnel to lead you directly to the Dragon City. If this dragon is indeed our last hope, I bid you safe passage and good luck. We could use your help.
Very well. The invitation shall be left open. Meet me here as soon as you are ready to set out for warfare. I shall be waiting.
Oh, Hunter, do we have to go this way?
If we march quickly, we shall reach the Dragon City by daybreak.
Yeah, thanks so much.
I feel vibrations in the earth. We must be getting close.
Finally! I've never seen the Dragon City before.
It was built long ago by the moles in honor of their friendship with the dragons. Before Malifaux, dragons were quite revered. I heard it too. Quickly! Entire speaker. This way. Stay close. I'm all right, but you won't be able to get through this way. Go, find Ignitus.
Okay, good luck.
Please help us!
Spider, look!
They need our help.
Oh, Spider!
Help! Thank you. You saved our lives.
No big deal, risking our lives, saving people, dodging danger, taking it to the man. It's an occupation.
Look out! Siege engines! There's something in their war machines!
Listen to me. Everyone who can still fight must go to the ramparts.
The rest of you run. Get under cover.
Okay, wait, putting out fires is one thing? Hey! Wait for me! Help! We can't let them destroy the catapult! It's our only chance against the battering ram! It's gonna shoot!
Okay, so the yellow's gone down. Okay, so now I've got the yellow in, and maybe the purple is going to look that tad bit more, a bit less dark, if you like. I don't like. It's draining. It's gone in well, to be honest with you. Now that it's sort of soaked together, I'm going to have to double dip that if I do it again, though. Shading the two colors is very, very extreme. You know, very dark. Well, that's very dark, whereas that's not so much.
We need to get them back on that catapult.
So if I'm going to use this, I'm going to have to reapply that. But this one here is very dark, and there's no shading in thing. If I'm just, in fact, what I'll do is I'll put it up there. That's one strip. See how dark that is. And then we've got this one here. It's the same color actually, so that's not too bad. And then you've got this one here, which is obviously that little bit lighter, a different shade of purple.
Follow me! Elmo! Close the gates! Close the gates! Don't let it in!
This is odd. Why are they retreating when they were so close to taking the city?
Why aren't they retreating when they're so cool? Who cares?
I feel it too. Something's not right.
They're turning around. Look.
little baby. Don't say a word. But look at the part you, a big mother, want to give me.
It's in the earth beneath us! All of you, run! Run!
Zero, the city is burning. See what you can do about it. Voltaire, try to distract its vision. Tallador, follow me. We'll attack it head on.
Spyro, Cinder, go and find shelter. Leave us to deal with this.
What are we going to do?
What do you mean, what are we gonna... Didn't you just hear Hunter?
We're not leaving. We can stop this.
Ira, this way, quickly! Oh, ignore me, answer Harold.
And now I wish I left it shaded.
I'll get you out of there.
Voltaire!
Look out!
I was very pleased with the shading part of it. Now I'm kind of like, oh shit. What have I done to it?
It's up to us. If we don't stop it now, it will destroy everything.
All right, I'm with you.
Why? Why don't you go along with us? Ignite us.
Young dragon, you never cease to amaze me.
We never lost hope that you would return. Ignitus made sure of that.
I should have come back sooner. I let you all down. But that won't happen again.
Spyro, you've done more than anyone could expect of a dragon your age. What matters now is that you are here. And what's more, you've returned with your companions.
Well, it's not like I've really had much of a choice in the matter, seeing as how we're stuck together.
Interesting. This device is foreign to me. Mason, what do you make of this?
Never have I seen such a thing. It has the mark of evil.
Likely crafted by Malapor himself. I fear we shall not be able to remove it.
What? But there has to be a way.
How can we fight back if we're made to fight like this?
Spyro, Cinder, you have done well to get this far despite this. Do not view this chain as a hindrance, but allow it to be a reminder of the bond you two share. Your destinies are now intertwined, and that thought is a hopeful one.
Momentum has swung to our side, Ignitus. Perhaps this victory will mark a turning point in this war.
I'd like to believe that.
Citizens of Warfang, congratulations. You shall be the first to witness the resurrection of the Destroyer and the end of the world.
Malapor.
It's not looking too bad, actually. I've got it in. Maybe I'll go over it again with the ink pen to get everything to sort of really pop out. But as you can see here, this is where I've just coloured that in. It's soaking in quite well, so it's giving me a shaded colour. So maybe it will soak in nicely and actually do that. I'm going to give it a couple seconds to sort of soak in a little bit and think what colours to use here and here. Pull that image up as well.
Ignitus, I don't understand.
Nor do I. The ancients believed that this creature brings about the birth of a new world.
See, that sounds like a good thing.
By issuing this
Oh,
The beast moves too quickly. We can't possibly catch up with it. To set out in pursuit would be useless.
then we shall wait for it to come back and intercept it before it completes its circle. We must pass underground if we are to possess the element of surprise. Besides, it is our only hope of getting into position in time without allowing Malapor to know the city has been left unguarded.
Okay, I'm going to use a grey here in the background.
These doors were built as an exit to our city, not for going back in. They have to be opened from the inside.
Spyro, Cinder, we will assemble the troops at the main gates. We're counting on you to get them open.
But you must hurry. Time is against us.
Whoa, is that supposed to be you? They're all worshiping you. That isn't me. It's Malapor. Look at this place. The ancestors must have trained in here.
We are getting closer. I know what you are thinking, Spyro. Have no worry, young friend. We'll make it.
I don't understand. Malapor is about to destroy everything. But you seem so calm.
I don't imagine Malapor would expend all this effort if he did not feel threatened.
But why should he?
Throughout our history, there is only known to have been 2 purple dragons. Like Malapor, your powers go far beyond what you might imagine. He knows this. Malapor could have accomplished anything, but instead chose you. And the world has been spiraling since. Your existence is nature's way of balancing itself.
The ancestors thought Malifaux was going to be different. They believed it. And look what happened.
Malifaux draws his powers from destruction. Destruction is the only way he knows, Spyro.
Why should I be any different?
Because I know it. But your heart would not allow it. Because I believe you are destined for great things. To bring about a new age. An age of peace. And I do not see what role destruction will have in that age. Here we are. Oh. Gotcha. 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 Ah! Take that. Squishy.
Oh, keep it up, Sparks. I think it's working.
Sparks, cut it out. Now's not the time.
It's never a good time.
How long until it crosses the belt of fire?
We might have until midday. Maybe less at that speed.
Spyro, how deep do you think that canyon is?
I don't know. What are you getting at?
What? What are you looking at, Jordan? I have something in my feet.
Cinder, you're a genius.
I have my moments.
Ignitus, can you stall it long enough to allow us to open the floodgate? If we fill up the canyon with water, it may slow it down enough to give us a fighting chance.
That may work.
Listen to me! We must prevent that monster from escaping the canyon, no matter the cost. Every moment counts.
You heard the dragon. Let's move!
We will do all we can to keep you tied. The rest is up to you.
That is up to you. Pressure anything.
Let's hope this is enough.
Everyone, take cover!
Now's our chance. Attack the destroyer!
It's shading in nicely now. Coming in quite well. Now it's all sort of drying off a little bit. I have noticed with these pens here that these what they do dry in a lot better than they first go on, which I'm so glad for, because that was looking horrible when I first put that down.
For all your subtleties, young dragons, you certainly know how to triumph with flair.
What's happening to it?
I don't know. It's most peculiar. No.
This can't be.
Ignite. What do we do?
There is no more that can be done. Listen to me. Not much time is left. Everyone must get to shelter.
What about the outlying populations? And there are countless still inside Dragon City. They need to be warned.
The underground city. Ignite. There are endless caves down there. We saw them. We can lead them there.
No. I need you and Cinder here with me. Hunter, send your falcons to the outlying regions and tell them to get beneath the surface, as deep as they can. Go! All of you!
I know you're up to something, Ignatius. I've known you for too long.
Go to the others, Telenor. There will be panic and disorder. A strong leader will be needed. I'll find my way back once I get Spyro and Cinder through the belt of fire.
We have to confront Malifaux, don't we?
I see no other way. The belt is weakened, and this may be our only chance to break through.
Yeah, if we aren't incinerated first.
Oh, come on, it doesn't sound so bad. We've been through worse, right?
Sparks, you can't come with me.
What? But I always go with you.
Spyro was right. You wouldn't survive in there.
You need to make sure the others reach the underground city in time. You've been there before. You can guide them.
It's important, Sparks.
What you need. Right now, there are others that need you more.
Cinder, you have to promise me you will look after him. We've been through a lot together.
I promise.
Be careful, Sparks.
Hey, it's me. Being careful is all I know.
I should be able to offer some protection from me. Stay close to me.
Ignite it. Let's turn back. There's got to be another way.
I don't. Cinder, I have never done right. I either of you. Allow me to do this.
What are you saying?
My heart is here, but yours lies beyond it. Draw strength from each other and follow your heart. It will never fail you. Now go. Go. Go.
Ignite it! No!
Spyro, stop! It's too late. You can't do anything for him now.
No, he isn't gone.
Spyro, let it go.
Let it go.
No.
Let it
Spyro,
go.
You can't stop.
You're right. Only you can do that. Please, Spyro, don't do this. We have to go on. He wanted us to.
It wasn't supposed to be like this. I feel so alone.
You're not alone. He's up there somewhere, isn't he? I don't know if I know through
But we have to.
Ooh, now comes the
If we don't, everything
moment. Shall I put this in dark earth, or shall I not?
All right then, I'll go. But only because I want to get rid of this chain.
Come on. The air is too thick down here with all this ash. There's probably enough draft near the volcano.
It's beautiful up here.
The tower. It must lead to Malfoy's lair. Are you ready for this?
I'm scared.
Just stay close to me.
At long last, my guests arrive. Such determination. It seems we share other qualities besides that of our color.
No, I'm nothing like you.
Do you think so? We'll get to that.
Don't listen to him, Spyro. Don't listen to anything he says.
You look so weary. Allow me to make you more comfortable. That's better, isn't it? The least I could do for you is simple. After all, you've done so much for me.
You used her.
I used her, she used you. What does it matter, really?
What does he mean?
He doesn't know.
Tell me what?
How she tricked you with a flea.
You're lying.
I find it peculiar how you chosen to live in the place. Let me assure you, Spyro, and you, after that, have sinned to thank
Cinder? Is it true?
No. I don't know. I don't know anymore.
Oh, I think you do. But perhaps you will
Cinder! Cinder! No!
If I should have warned you, you were alone being you were always alone. Still, here you are, trying so desperately to save this miserable world, refusing to accept the true rules of the Purple Dragon. I'm sure you've been told that I was the first of our kind. I assure you, it's been the duty of our predecessors to resurrect the destroyer of the powers of the deep and bring about a great cleansing. This is the true nature of our kind. Your destiny is to destroy.
No! I don't believe that!
Of course you don't. But you fulfilled your destiny nonetheless. In my time, I was stopped, prevented from completing my quest. But you carry the flame, your own lament, and soon the world will be destroyed. You along with it.
No. Because you've left me nothing to fight for.
There's always something.
So be it. Prepare to die.
Oh no! We're too late!
Welcome to the end of the world. Cannot defeat me. I am eternal.
Just hang on.
What is this?
Spyro, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Don't be. It's over.
So this is it?
Spyro, when a dragon dies, it does not truly leave this world. His spirit lives on, binding itself with nature, offering hope for the future.
I know what I need to do. Just get out of here, Simba.
Spyro, no. You don't have to do anything. Let's just go.
Where, Simba? There'll be nothing left. The world is breaking apart. But I think I can stop it. I think I'm meant to.
Then I'm with you. I love you.
Dear.
Be welcome, friend. I have long been expecting you. A new age is beginning. With each new age, a worthy dragon is chosen to chronicle the many triumphs and failures of that age. This has been my duty for many millennia. And now, Ignitus, I pass this on to you.
And what of Spyro? Is he?
That is the question, isn't it? You see, each time a dragon dies, a new page is written in this book. I've done my best, but I can't seem to find any trace of Spyro.
Well, young dragon, where might you be?
Now, guys, I think that may be the end. There may be more game to go, or story to go, but let's have a look. That. Oh, no, it's going into the new game, and I've already said to my son that I wouldn't watch any of the new game. Purely because I don't want to spoil it for myself. I think they've changed it a little bit, but not too much. It's kind of like what I've done here. I've changed it a little bit, but not too much. As for things going on, I don't know what you think of this so far, guys. Let me know what you think of that. Like again, the colors on the Spyro is actually a lot. Let's move that aside a bit. The colors are a lot lighter, which is really such a relief for me, because I thought it was going to go down very, very dark, and I thought it was going to ruin the piece, but it hasn't done too badly, and I kind of am glad I did put that shading in underneath, instead of trying to sort of shade it with the pens I've got. Again, I don't really like these pens, and they're Copic markers, but they're not blending very well. So we'll try maybe in the new year to get myself a new actual set of professional ones, but this isn't turning out too badly for what I can do with what I got, because like I said, the color that I had is soaking into the page quite well, and it is giving sort of what I wanted it to do. I'm going to continue on with the different colors, but first I'm going to have a quick look on what I can do, what I can find for something to listen to, because obviously I did think that was going to last me up until the point where it is now. Now, what time we got now? We're at 10 to 2, 20 to 3. So that doesn't leave me much more time to do what I want to do. So give me a minute or two while I try and find something to do, and I'll try and get this done as quickly as possible. Because I'm taking my time, I don't want to make any silly mistakes by rushing anything. I might do this again tomorrow and then digitize over the week. But I'll come back in the morning, I think, and get this done, so you guys can join me while you have yourself your breakfast, or just have your lunch with me. I can't listen to any of the music, and the music just seems to be giving me copyright, so I'm not finding any music to put in the background anymore, because it's just ridiculous. Because when the new 13 comes in, I'm working up, every YouTuber is just going to have a lot of problems. Some of us are going to get blocked, and some of us are just going to have to go through every single video we've got, which the copyright on them is ridiculous. You just have a tiny amount of, like the tiniest amount of problems with it, and they poof, you're gone. That's what they're saying anyway. Who knows if it'll actually come to fruition. Maybe if I just type it in. That's a soundtrack, but probably that'd be a bad idea to do. I don't know what I found. History. That's fine. Maybe I can find history. Let's have this in the background, I think.
We gotta think about this real hard.
They killed my pops. I can't let that slide.
By the late 90s, there were two major video game companies competing for the industry's top spot.
It is a bit boring, but it's something to listen to while I get on with this, guys, because I do want to get as much done of this as I can, really.
Nintendo marketed themselves primarily towards the preteen demographic, and that was reflected in their
Short
games.
story of how Spyro was created.
Pilot Wings,
So enjoy
Copice Store,
while I
Mario Kart 64.
get colouring in.
That's not to say the Nintendo 64 didn't have mature games. They definitely did, but those usually came from third-party developers. Sony, on the other hand, went the other way and appealed to teens and adults. The PlayStation showcased cutting-edge technology for the time. Full-motion video and CD-quality audio meant developers could make almost movie-like gaming experiences. Titles such as Final Fantasy VII and Metal Gear Solid presented more mature, violent stories. The lines were drawn. If players wanted a more lighthearted family experience, they went with the Nintendo 64. More mature adult themes? Sony PlayStation. But Sony didn't like that dynamic. They didn't want a portion of the gaming audience. They wanted everyone. So by late 1996, Sony went after Nintendo's demographic by making more family-friendly games. One of those titles was a cute little game called Spyro the Dragon. Developed by Insomniac Games, Spyro the Dragon was one of the first open-world 3D platformers on the PlayStation. Despite slow early sales, Spyro the Dragon spread by word of mouth, and the game took off. Insomniac would go on to make two more titles in the franchise. The games would go on to sell more than 11 million copies. The history of Spyro the Dragon is also the history of Insomniac Games. Spyro was only their second title, and it cemented them as one of their premier developers for Sony. In 1994, 26-year-old Ted Price was ready for a change. After getting a degree in English from Princeton, he had taken a job with his uncle's medical company. But Price's true passion was video games. At the age of 10, he had begged his father for an Apple IIe computer, claiming he could make a video game and earn $10 million. Eventually, he gave up his dream of programming. But while working for his uncle's medical company, he found himself programming again, and the itch to make video games came back. So Price left his job, and on February 28, 1994, he formed Extreme Software. But Price was in for a rude awakening. While organizing his new company and working on designs for his first game, he realized he needed a lot of help. Luckily, help came to him. One day, Price's mother was bragging to a friend about her son's new startup video game company. His mother's friend had a son at Princeton who was roommates with an extremely talented programmer who was looking for work, Alex Hastings. Price's mother passed the word to Ted, who immediately called up Hastings to make a pitch. Hastings agreed to join, and in June of 1994, moved out to California to join Price at Extreme Software.
What color?
Soon after, Alex's brother, Brian Hastings, joined the company as well. But the name Extreme Software was short-lived. The trio received a letter from a database company claiming they had stolen their name. They quickly had a brainstorming session for a new name. A few ideas were Ragnarok Software, Black Sun Software, Moon Turtle, The Resistance Incorporated, and Ice 9. Finally, Ted Price pitched the name Insomniac Games. It wasn't being used by anyone, and all three members of the team were pulling a few all-nighters. Insomniac's first game would be a Doom clone, known as Disruptor. Price and the Hastings brothers all loved Doom and remembered the excitement of playing the game for the first time. Disruptor felt like a good first title to get their feet wet. Said Alex Hastings, "We didn't know what we were doing. None of us had any experience. But yeah, doing a sort of Doom clone, it felt doable." Insomniac Games approached Sony about bringing Disruptor to the PlayStation, but they were in for a shock. A Sony development kit cost an arm and a leg. It was too much money for the new company, so Disruptor began its life on the 3DO. In about a month, they had a demo and began looking for a publisher, but no one was interested. That is, until one of their last scheduled meetings, with Universal Interactive Studios. Universal Interactive was a division of Universal Studios, which was hoping to get into the video game industry. They had just signed Naughty Dog to a development deal, and were looking for more up-and-coming developers. Insomniac's Disruptor caught the eye of Universal Interactive's vice president, Mark Cerny. Cerny was no stranger to the video game industry. At the age of 17, he got a job making games at Atari. His first big hit was Marble Madness, a unique isometric platformer where the player has to navigate a marble to the exit. After Atari, Cerny worked for Sega in both Japan and the United States, working on games such as Sonic the Hedgehog 2. He eventually left to become an executive at Universal Interactive. Cerny was impressed that the Disruptor demo was made in only a month. He signed Insomniac Games to a deal. Universal would publish Disruptor, and Insomniac agreed to make 3 new games for Universal. About halfway through Disruptor's development, it became clear the 3DO system was not the future. Sales slumped, and other developers jumped ship. With the help of Mark Cerny and Universal Interactive, Insomniac got Sony dev kits, so development could continue for the PlayStation. On November 30th, 1996, Insomniac Games and Universal Interactive released Disruptor for the Sony PlayStation. It was a disappointment. The game only sold around 200,000 copies, mostly due to a lack of marketing. However, critics praised Disruptor. IGN stated, "For gamers who like a good shooter, you can't do much better than this." Despite the praise, the lack of sales made Insomniac founder Ted Price nervous. "There were times when we thought we weren't going to be around for another week," he said. But Universal wasn't ready to give up on Insomniac Games. After the disappointment of their first title, Disruptor, Insomniac Games, which had grown to 6 employees, wanted to make a game with more mass market appeal. Disruptor took place in a dark, gritty world. Brian Hastings said they were ready to make, quote, "a game my mother would be able to play." Universal Interactive's Mark Cerny approached them with some insight. The average age of a PlayStation user was trending downward. Nintendo's family-friendly games were selling extremely well. If Sony could get more titles like Nintendo had, it could result in huge sales numbers. Not only that, but Alex Hastings was working on a new game engine. It was developed to showcase open worlds and view objects at great distances. Perfect technology for a 3D platformer. All they needed now was a character and a story. Ted Price pitched an idea about aliens invading Earth. He got a lukewarm reception. Then art director Craig Stitt mentioned that he had always wanted to make a game with dragons. "I've always loved dragons. To me, they are just the greatest creature. The combination of a T-Rex with wings and breathing fire, I mean, you've got the best of everything in a dragon." The idea clicked with everyone. Insomniac Games' newest title would be an open-world 3D platformer where you played as a dragon. They brought in artist Charles Zembillis, who had helped Naughty Dog with the character designs in Crash Bandicoot. Zembillis began preliminary sketches of the dragon character. At first, the dragon was large, too large. Alex Hastings noted that animating such a large character would be troublesome. It had to be smaller and would need to appeal to their demographic of 8 to 10-year-olds. A few descriptors were cute, mischievous, bratty, and unpredictable. Eventually, Zembillis had nailed down a design for the main character. Said Brian Hastings, "This looks like a mascot character. This is something that could be big." His original name was Pete, as was the working title of the game. But Universal lawyers quickly stepped in, noting that Disney had a movie called Pete's Dragon, and would surely come knocking. The name Pyro was also considered, but it felt too mature. A Sony marketing director eventually suggested the name Spyro. It stuck. Originally, Spyro was a green dragon, but that quickly changed. As art director Craig Stitt designed the medieval fantasy worlds for players to explore, he was concerned that Spyro was blending into the grass too much. After experimenting with dozens of colors, they finally settled on purple. It was a unique color that made Spyro more playful and fun. At the E3 Expo in May of 1998, Insomniac Games showed off Spyro the Dragon. People were impressed by the large, colorful open worlds and called it graphically stunning. Sony was excited for the game as well and threw heavy marketing behind it. Magazine previews and even TV commercials raised hype for Spyro. After crunching through tight deadlines, Spyro the Dragon made its debut on September 9, 1998 for the Sony PlayStation at a retail price of $39.99. In Spyro the Dragon, you play as Spyro, the smallest of the dragons living in the Artisan's world. After an interview where the Elder Dragons insult a villain named Nasty Nork, Nasty turns all the dragons into statues. Spyro, who avoided the spell, must save his dragon friends and take down Nasty and his henchmen. Along the way, Spyro is accompanied by his dragonfly buddy, Sparks. Sparks was designed to provide hints to Spyro and act as his life meter.
Hey guys, I'm
first
getting
thing
there with the
players
colouring.
noticed when starting up Spyro was how open the worlds were and how fun it was.
I've actually
to
run out of
around.
story to listen to, so I'm listening to the
Insomniac
history
thought
of
many PlayStation games felt too
Spyro at the minute,
claustrophobic and
where he
wanted to
came
give
from,
the
how he
player
was
room
created,
to
and
run around.
what made him
During
come to
development,
life.
Insomniac games
While I
had a Nintendo
colour in the picture that I
64
drew
in their
yesterday.
office and would play it constantly.
If you
One
want to
thing
see
noted was how
the
much fun
black
it
and
was
white
to
version,
just
if
run
you've
around
come from
with
Instagram,
Mario
guys,
64.
then
They called
check
it the
yesterday's
toy
video,
factor. The game should be fun to run around, even without
where you
enemies.
had
When enemies
some
were
more of the
around,
story
they
of
actually
the
interacted with
game
Spyro, which
of
was
Spyro, the
different than
original
most
trilogy.
games at the time. Generally, enemies travel along a fixed path.
But that story ran out about 10 minutes ago. If you want to listen to that, you can rewind and listen to the story while I get to from the point where I did Spyro and started colouring this. It's taking me a lot longer than I expected, but I'm using these pens here, which I'm not a huge fan of, but they give me more selection than the ones I have for the brush pens.
In total, there were 6 worlds to explore, each one containing multiple levels. In most levels,
I thought about
Spyro was
using
rescuing
pencil
his
maybe
dragon
for the
friends while
buildings,
collecting gems and the
because
occasional
I don't
dragon
have
egg.
really a
To mix
good
up the
enough
action,
colour for what I want to
Insomniac
use on the
games added
castle.
flying levels to the game. In these levels, Spyro has to complete
Maybe it'll give it another
flying
texture
through
as well.
hoops and destroying enemies in a limited amount of time. These were programmer Alex Hastings' favorite levels. You can easily waste an hour or 2 without even realizing it, he said. When it came to making the worlds, art director Craig Stitt focused on creating unique color palettes for each world. Each world had 2 or 3 base colors, and the details were filled in by different shades or contrasting colors.
Shading and colouring, which I can get, I've noticed with this, so I'm going to try a little bit more colour
Spyro
underneath
the
here
Dragon
maybe.
runs on an internal game engine developed by Alex Hastings. What makes the engine unique is that there is no distance fog. At the time, consoles weren't powerful enough to render a lot of complex graphics and shadows. To compensate objects far away, games would use a fog to hide the graphics,
I remember
allowing the
that.
game to run more smoothly. In Spyro, there is no fog. Rather, the engine renders objects farther away with a much lower polygon count. As the player gets closer, the polygon count increases
They
until
still
it
do
is
now.
fully rendered.
Kind of in
It was a
Minecraft.
great solution. Seeing platforms and objects far away enticed players to explore and try to reach new areas. With Universal Interactive backing the game, Insomniac Games had access to incredible resources. This is especially evident in the game's music and voice acting. Spyro the Dragon's soundtrack was composed by Stuart Copeland, co-founder and drummer for the band The Police. Spyro was his first video game composition. To write the music, Copeland would play the game and get an attitude for each level. He would compose the level's music based on that. Spyro's voice is provided by Carlos Alazraqui, most well known for being the voice of Rocco in Rocco's Modern Life, and the Taco Bell Chihuahua dog. According to PlayStation Underground, Alazraqui was the first to audition for the role, and immediately got the part. According to Alazraqui, it took a little while to find the right voice for Spyro.
I think we went through about maybe 5 or 6 versions, where
Holy crap, I thought that was Elijah Wood. I was...
I'm gonna add Lionel up in the nose. Then he was like really cooler and older, and they actually recorded something like that. But then they found out he was too mean. So then we just kind of did a mixture in between the two.
Oh, okay, the one we were listening to had Elijah Wood, so it must have been a revamped Xbox version maybe.
Additional voices were provided by Clancy Brown, who also voiced Dr. Neo Cortex from Crash
I wonder
Bandicoot
why his
and
voice
Mr.
was changed,
Krabs
because I
from
did watch
SpongeBob
this
SquarePants.
beforehand.
Critics loved Spyro the Dragon.
While this type of game has been all but perfected on the Nintendo 64 with stars like Super Mario 64 and Banjo-Kazooie, attempts at it on the PlayStation haven't panned out. Blasto, for example, was particularly disappointing, and while PlayStation's reigning mascot champ, Crash Bandicoot, has appeared in several platform games, players didn't have full control over where he could explore. But Spyro finally proves that not only is PlayStation capable of supporting such a game, it can do it very well. Ian McDonald, Home Office Computing Magazine.
GameSpot's Joe Fielder felt the same way. Yes, it's taken some time, but there's finally a proficient 3D platform game for the PlayStation, he said. Several reviews noted that the game was a bit childish. That bothered Insomniac founder Ted Price. To see it called a kiddie game implied that it was a simple, novice-oriented game that wouldn't satisfy hardcore players, he said. Sales were mixed, despite widespread acclaim from critics. In Europe, the game flew off shelves, but in North America, things were much slower. It wasn't until after the 1998 holiday season that things began to pick up. As kids got the game for Christmas, parents and even grandparents discovered how much fun Spyro the Dragon was. Said Ted Price, "We had grandmothers writing us letters saying they had stolen the game from their grandkids because they liked it better." Sales of Spyro the Dragon eventually surpassed more than 5 million units. It was the breakthrough game Insomniac Games was hoping for. Universal Interactive and Sony were thrilled with the sales. They asked for a sequel by the 1999 holiday season. After the release of Spyro the Dragon, Insomniac Games grew to 13 employees. Mark Cerny, wanting to focus more on game design, left Universal Interactive and formed his own consulting company, Cerny Games. And Ted Price, founder of Insomniac Games, was feeling the pressure to deliver a sequel. Recalling the development of Spyro 2, Ted Price said, "We had to make the sequel more revolutionary than evolutionary." The good news was, Insomniac could use the same game engine. They just had to come up with new gameplay mechanics. The team scrambled and threw out a lot of ideas, but they eventually settled on mini-games, challenges, and objectives throughout the levels. This would add variety to each level instead of the standard get to the end of the stage goal. One idea Insomniac struggled with was collecting items. It was definitely an important aspect of the game, but how much was too much? For Spyro 2, Insomniac found a nice balance. They added more collectibles, but not enough to make it the main focus of the game. This would also add more challenge to the game, and Insomniac hoped it would help shed Spyro's label as a kiddie game. When it came time to name the game, Insomniac took inspiration from the first Spyro game, in an unlikely way. They noticed that on the Japanese cover of Spyro the Dragon, the katakana characters looked like it spelled Ripto in English. Insomniac loved it and gave the name to the main villain of the game. On November 2nd, 1999, Spyro 2, Ripto's Rage, was released in North America. 3 days later, the game came out in Europe and Australia, but under a different name. To avoid translation issues, it was named Spyro 2, Gateway to Glimmer. After defeating Nasty North, Spyro is ready for a vacation, but when he tries to visit Dragon Shores to relax, he is transported to the world of Avalar. There he meets Allura the Fawn, Hunter the Cheetah, and the Professor. They need Spyro's help in defeating Ripto, a warlock who has decided to conquer the land. Spyro and his dragonfly buddy Sparks agree to help take down Ripto and his minions. Spyro 2 introduced several new characters to the series, most notably Moneybags, a greedy bear who will charge you gems at every turn to access areas and learn new abilities.
Well, dragon or not, I'm afraid there is a small fee to open the bridge. It will cost you 100 of your gems to cross.
The core gameplay of Spyro remained mostly intact, with ramming enemies, gliding, flying, and breathing fire. Insomniac also added swimming to the game. But Spyro had new mini-games and challenges you had to complete in order to get all the collectibles in a level. In one level, Spyro had to compete in a game of ice hockey. In another, Spyro had to eliminate raptors before they gobble up cavemen. It was clear Insomniac Games
Oh wait,
the
I've got
difficulty
grass
for the
on the
sequel. In
path.
Spyro 2, players would have to collect gems, orbs, and talismans. In order to advance to new areas, Insomniac Games upped the requirements, which forced players to backtrack and collect more orbs. Boss battles were also made more difficult, but the reward was great. Beating the game and collecting everything unlocked a full theme park at Dragon Shores. Presentation-wise, Insomniac added a lot more cutscenes and dialogue. Tom Kenny was the new voice of Spyro. Today, he is best known as the voice of SpongeBob SquarePants. But Spyro's voice wasn't the only thing to change for the dragon. Insomniac collected feedback from players on the first game. Many felt that Spyro was too cocky and arrogant. They changed Spyro's attitude to be a bit more relaxed and humble. Music was, once again, composed by Stuart Copeland. Reviews were overwhelmingly positive. IGN's Doug Perry said, Spyro 2 Ripto's Rage is a large, beautiful game with a phenomenal amount of missions, side quests, and minigames in it that provide the structure and depth the first game sorely lacked. Electronic Gaming Monthly stated, it's a beautiful game that's got both charm and polish. Spyro 2 Ripto's Rage would go on to sell more than 3 million units. It was another huge success. So it was no surprise to anyone at Insomniac Games when Universal Interactive and Sony came knocking for another Spyro game. Spyro 3 would need to be ready for the 2000 holiday season. That, once again, gave Insomniac less than a year to come up with something new. It was a challenge from the get-go. Ted Price claimed Insomniac was, quote, scraping the bottom of the barrel for ideas. The good news was Insomniac Games officially had 3 PlayStation titles under their belt. They were able to fully maximize the power of the Sony PlayStation. Brighter color palettes, more polygons, and more special effects, all while maintaining a steady frame rate of 30 frames per second. In addition to this, Insomniac came up with a way to adjust the difficulty on the fly. It was called ACT, or Auto Challenge Tuning. The system was designed to tune the game's difficulty based on how well the player was doing. More experienced players could enjoy an increased challenge, while novice players wouldn't get frustrated. To keep the game fresh, Insomniac went with more mini-games and 4 new playable characters. Adding new characters took pressure off creating new moves for Spyro and added more gameplay variety. When it came to naming the game, it was an easy decision. Spyro 3 was set to release in the year 2000. The Year of the Dragon, according to the Chinese Zodiac. The game was officially titled Spyro, Year of the Dragon, and was released on October 24, 2000 in North America and November 10, 2000 in Europe. Spyro and his friends are celebrating the Year of the Dragon, welcoming new dragon eggs. All of a sudden, a rabbit named Bianca appears with an army of Rhinox and steals the eggs. Spyro and Hunter chase them to a new world that was once inhabited by dragons. An evil sorceress has taken over and wants to use the captured dragon eggs to eliminate dragons for good. She has also imprisoned several of the world's heroes, entrusting money bags to guard them. It's up to Spyro to free his new friends, find all the dragon eggs, and take down the sorceress. Along with
we were
collecting
listening
gems
to had
and
nothing
dragon
like that in
eggs,
there.
Spyro 3 added several new mini-games inspired by some of Insomniac's favorite games. There were skateboarding areas, inspired by Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, a boxing match inspired by Ready to Rumble Boxing, and even shooting arenas inspired by Doom. Spyro Year of the Dragon introduced new playable characters with their own unique levels. Sheila the kangaroo could jump extremely high while kicking enemies. Sergeant Bird was a little penguin who could fly and shoot rockets. Bentley was a yeti that moved slowly but had an extremely powerful swing. And finally there was Agent 9, a monkey with a laser gun that loved to throw bombs. Another new playable character was Sparks, Spyro's dragonfly buddy. These were shoot-'em-up levels, and if completed, gave Sparks new abilities. Music was once again composed by Stuart Copeland. Ted Price considered it Copeland's best work on the Spyro series. Spyro was once again voiced by Tom Kenny. Newcomer Bianca was voiced by Pamela Hayden, best known for her work on The Simpsons. Spyro Year of the Dragon was a massive game, almost twice as big as its predecessors. Critics once again loved it. Writer Mark Saltzman commented, "It was one of those rare gems that's perfect for boys and girls, young and old, and either experienced or casual players." GameSpot's Brad Shoemaker said, "You've certainly played Year of the Dragon before, but you've rarely played it better." The third installment in the Spyro series sold over 3 million units worldwide. Fans of the game were in for a surprise once they completed Year of the Dragon. A message from Insomniac Games. We hope you have enjoyed the Spyro trilogy. We have had 4 great, fun, sleepless years creating it. Was this the end of the series? In a way, it was. For Insomniac Games, at least. After 4 years of working on Spyro the Dragon, the team of 30 at Insomniac was ready to move on. Said Ted Price, "We decided that it was better to start with a new franchise and come up with a new character than to try to push Spyro again." Insomniac's 3-game contract was up with Universal Interactive. They were ready to create a new series and pitch it directly to Sony. It was the end of an era. Through it all, Insomniac was still surprised by the international success of Spyro. Although Insomniac created the series, they didn't actually own the license to it. It belonged to Universal Interactive. Universal wasn't ready to give up on the Purple Dragon and opened up the franchise to new developers. But none of the titles could recapture the magic from the original trilogy. Spyro Enter the Dragonfly was the first Spyro title on the new PlayStation 2 platform, but failed to move the franchise forward. In IGN's review, Doug Perry said, "If you want something entirely new or even remotely resembling a next-generation experience, then forget it." The follow-up, Spyro A Hero's Tale, was an improvement, but it was also more of the same. GameSpot noted that
If you want something new and you want something better, always keep the original creators, guys.
The novelty has worn off. Spyro games would also appear on handheld systems.
It's copied.
Game Boy Advance and
Copied artist doesn't
3DS.
always do, but I think my copy here of Spyro the Dragon, so I'll just clean my hands, is not looking too bad.
It was a major disappointment. It wasn't until 2011 that Spyro achieved a sort of rebirth. Developer Toys for Bob, a subsidiary of Activision, were given a chance to revive the franchise.
Cameras.
One of their choices was Spyro, which Activision owned after merging with Vivendi Universal.
Obviously, I've still got some more colouring to do on here. Different areas, so castle up here, the background sky. This is going to be a dark sky, whereas this is going to be a light blue. I'm going to think I'll use this light blue for this side, and just probably just do a black, maybe a dark blue. So yeah, dark blue probably would work better. And then a dark blue on this side for the sky, and leave the moon white, and then colour the the sun maybe in this colour here, or in the same colour as Spyro's wings.
Several sequels followed. The series has over,
but I do not know what colour I should put the castle in. Can't leave it grey, or could I leave it grey? I wonder. Maybe just give it a colour here and there. Bits of yellow, maybe bits of other colours. Not sure. I'm going to colour the sky in now and see what I can get out of it.
Gameplay-wise, it was totally different. But on April 5th, 2018, fans of the original trilogy were in for a treat. Toys for Bob announced the Spyro Reignited Trilogy, an HD remake of the first 3 Spyro games. Toys for Bob hopes that the game will not only appeal to fans of the original trilogy, but bring in new ones as well. They even met with Insomniac Games to present their ideas. They wanted to ensure the game stayed true to the spirit of the original games.
Keep up the good work, Spyro. I expect Nasty's really starting to worry about you.
I'd be shaking in my North boots if I were him.
North, dude, it's total North.
It was a combination of many things. Charming characters, large open worlds,
I remember that word, Nork.
high production values, but none of it would have come together were it not for the work of Insomniac Games. Insomniac was on the verge of quitting after the disappointment of their first game, but they were able to bounce back in a big way. They created a family-friendly 3D platformer for a system that didn't have those types of games. It was only their second title. For both sequels, Insomniac managed to maintain the Spyro formula that everyone loved while introducing new mechanics, characters, and gameplay. In total, the Spyro the Dragon trilogy sold more than 11 million units worldwide. Each game was enshrined in the PlayStation Greatest Hits collection. Insomniac Games is still around today, developing new titles for Sony's PlayStation 4. They've come a long way since their formation in 1994, and they have a little purple dragon to thank for that. That's all for this episode of The Gaming Historian. Thanks for watching.
Funding for Gaming Historian is provided in part by supporters on Patreon. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, nice. I have no Patreon, but if you ever did want to get buy anything off me, guys, you can do. Just head over to Instagram and check out what other posts I've got there. I do digitize everything I draw. This will be digitized, so if you don't like the colors in here, don't worry, because I'm going to be changing them. Well, I'm not changing them, but so using different and better colors, because obviously when I'm on the computer, my color palette is infinite. I can change it. I can change the hues. I can put a lot more shading in and add things that I want, and I think will look a lot better, which is what I'll be doing. So definitely keep tuned on my channel. Don't forget to hit subscribe and come over the weekend. And tomorrow I will be starting the digitization of this piece here, as I'm pretty much going to finish up in a moment and get done. But if you have enjoyed today, guys, again, don't forget to hit subscribe. My name is Blut084, BLUT 084, Art and Games.
The story resonated with me instantly.
It's time for another look into the history of Spyro the Dragon, and today's video will of course be about the final game.
Yeah, I'm just listening to something in the background.
My personal favourite of the whole series, Year of the Dragon. I've really been looking forward to this one. It has some of the most memorable realms in the trilogy, and playing a different character besides Spyro is a breath of fresh air. Not to mention Insomniac Games really went all out on a variety of mini-games.
So these videos are really, really old.
Now, before I get into the nitty-gritty of Spyro 3, there's two tiny issues I want to address about my previous Spyro 2 video, as a few people made comments about them. The first is how I described the realm Zephyr as the one nobody likes. Well, turns out a lot of people actually did enjoy Zephyr, so I apologise for my ignorant statement. The second is that I forgot to talk about the bonus realm Dragon Shores. I tried not to go into detail about bonus realms in case I spoil the surprise for newcomers to the series, but this time round it completely slipped my mind to even mention it, so apologies again. Anyway, now that's out of the way, let's stomp, saw, smash and shoot our way through Spyro, Year of the Dragon. Development. Development on Year of the Dragon, named due to the year 2000 being the Year of the Dragon in the Chinese zodiac, began shortly after the release of Spyro 2, and when I say shortly after, I mean the same month and year. Sony really didn't want to give Insomniac Games a break, did they? Development went on for nearly 11 months before the game was finished in September 2000 and released late October of the same year. Despite having less than a year to make another Spyro game, Ted Price, the CEO of Insomniac Games, stated it was one of the most smoothest development cycles the team ever had since starting the series. The two previous titles had helped the team come up with a process that really worked for them, which in turn meant Spyro 3 could be developed in less time while still maintaining the same level of quality as its predecessors, if not better. While coming up with new ideas for their third installment in the Spyro franchise, the team took a lot of inspiration from other games. You'll see elements of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, GoldenEye, Crash Bandicoot, as well as the odd film reference here and there. Perhaps the biggest change from previous entries, though, is the addition of the extra playable characters Sheila, Sergeant Bird, Bentley, Agent 9, and even Sparks himself. Ted Price states, instead of burdening Spyro with a bunch of extra moves, we wanted players to experience new control schemes and introduce new faces. The best way to do this was through the critters. Since all four are so different,
Spyro 3, the game.
We created a much greater variety of gameplay by using them versus sticking with Spyro. Another change in this title was the
unless you've got a PlayStation, you won't be able to play now.
Spyro 1 and 2 both had copy protection, but it wasn't enough to stop the most determined hackers from cracking the games. Spyro 2 was cracked just over a week after it released, to give you an idea of how fast these guys work. The problem is that a lot of game sales occur in the first few months, around 30 to 50% of total sales in fact, depending on the game and time of year it's released. So a good chunk of sales would often be lost from cracked versions. The crack detection on Spyro 3 was the solution, and it was so good that it took hackers over 2 months to develop a working patch, plenty of time for sales to rack up. Instead of just checking that the game was running,
crackers. I don't know why people did that.
Spyro 3's crack detection checked for any alterations in the game. Anything slightly out of place, and the game would completely mess up for you. We're talking missing gems and eggs, portals that take you to the wrong realm, and my personal favourite, the final boss sending you back to the beginning of the game. Oh, and if you thought you had got away with it and had no glitches, sometimes the delightful fairy Zoe would appear and politely inform you about your hacked game, just to let you know what a terrible person you are. This, of course, was the last Spyro game to be developed by Insomniac Games. As much as the team loved working on the series, they felt they couldn't bring anything new to the table and decided it was better to leave it on a high note. After 5 stressful but awesome years, Insomniac Games went on to develop the Ratchet & Clank series.
I love those games, Ratchet and Clank. I've actually got some Spider-Man. I played that as well. Ratchet and Clank. I've played that recent game. If you guys do like that game, I could do a picture of those, but I'm more I keep to a theme each month. The next month's going to be Christmas, or in that month will be Christmas. So I'm going to be doing some more Christmassy videos and doing something very special with my beard, guys. If you've ever seen a Christmas film and you've seen Santa's Workshop, keep tuned, guys, because my beard is going to be coming in very, very handy.
As she makes her way to one of the holes of the last dragon egg, she accidentally steps on Hunter's tail, causing him to scream in pain and wake up all the dragons, including Spyro. A very short chase ensues, but Bianca escapes with the egg. Another cutscene plays, showing Bianca talking with her ruler and mentor, the sorceress. While the sorceress damns her protege with faint praise, Zoe the fairy overhears their conversation and quickly races back to the dragons to let them know the location of the eggs.
Right.
For some reason. Seriously,
which colour?
The sorceress just locked them up in a vault or something, especially considering her ulterior motive for the baby dragons, which I'll talk about later. Now, this next part is going to be a hodgepodge of information, as I need to discuss the characters Spyro meets while still talking about the story, but in order to do that, I really need to talk about the homeworld, and if I'm going to talk about the homeworld, I need to mention the realms. Basically, this is going to be a long section with a complete mix of information, so bear with me. Let's start off by discussing homeworlds and their contents. There are 4 homeworlds in Spyro 3, and, like the previous games, they follow a certain theme, time of day in this instance. The first is Sunrise Spring. This homeworld is set at perpetual dawn and is made up of vibrant green fields, wooded areas, and a large clear lake. The homeworld is staggered into various levels, and there's even a luminescent cave that Spyro can fly through. Bianca turns up twice in this homeworld, to threaten Spyro at the beginning of the game, and later to confront him and Hunter together, to little effect. The first new playable character you'll come across is Sheila the kangaroo. Like the 3 other new characters,
Sheila the kangaroo!
Before or during the events of the game, and is guarded closely by the pompous, money-hungry git known as Moneybags. Yep, he's back.
I forgot that blue and yellow make green. Whoops.
But not before they teach that dastardly Moneybags a lesson.
I don't know what I'm going to do now.
Sheila also speaks with an Australian accent.
Sheila! She talks like this, mate! I'm Australian, mate!
The original home of the dragons, and that when the dragons left, the magic went with them. Now let's move on and talk about the realms. They function more or less the same as they did in the previous 2 games, but this time on a much larger scale and complete with separate areas for minigames. Seriously, some of these realms are huge, with the couple taking me well over 30 minutes to 100% complete. A big change from the good old days where I could be done and dusted with a realm in less than 10 minutes. Each homeworld contains a set of normal realms and alternative playable characters.
Yeah, but 30 minutes means you get extra more game to play. You just don't like games that take you 5 minutes to get around. Oh, I've done. Wow, woo, lovely. Finished. Oh, I haven't got nothing to play.
It's because the fading magic is causing some of the portals to fail. In order to fix them, Spyro must collect a certain amount of eggs and get the magic flowing through the world again. Spark's realms are also locked, but not because of fading magic. They will only become accessible once you beat the upcoming boss and move on to the next homeworld. Then you just need to travel back to the previous one to play it. 2 things I'd like to mention
Travel
about
back.
Spyro 3 realms. One good and one, bad isn't the right word, more disappointing. The good thing is the lovely designs the artist made for the portals. Usually the entrance to a realm is designed to reflect the homeworld it's situated in, but these ones have been made to match their realm. It's a nice little touch that makes me love this game even more. Now, the disappointing disappointing thing is that there are no cutscenes when entering and leaving a realm like there was in Spyro 2, which is a shame, as the cutscenes were great. They set the mood for the realm you were visiting or had visited, and added a splash of humour to an already colourful and fun game. But never mind, eh? The realm's content more than makes up for this. So, there are 7 realms in total in Sunrise Spring. The first realm visited is usually Sunny Villa, due to it being the first you see when you start playing. Sunny Villa is a Roman-inspired realm, with the inhabitants and Rhinox dressed accordingly. It serves as a tutorial realm like Glimmer in Spyro 2, so expect some enemies that don't fight back, and lots of hints from Zoe. The goal is to defeat the Rhinox terrorizing the citizens and eating all their giant chickens. The next realm is Cloud Spires. The inhabitants of Cloud Spires are called Weather Imps, cute little fairy creatures with tiny wings and spiky hair that resembles the cloud generator found in the realm. Spyro must help the Weather Imps activate the bellows situated around Cloud Spires, which in turn will activate their cloud generator. The Rhinoc enemies here resemble Vikings and Valkyrie, and, depending on the Rhinoc, will use either a lightning attack to zap Spyro or flap their wings to push him away. Molten Crater is the first realm you come across that's locked until you've collected enough eggs. As the name suggests, this realm is basically one large crater filled with lava.
I wish I used pencil.
The inhabitants resemble idols and spend most days partying at the Tiki Lodge. Enemies include Rhinox with machetes and shields, larger Rhinox with whips, and warthogs that will charge at Spyro. Seashell Shore is Sunrise Spring's last normal
Seashell
realm.
Shore.
The action takes place both
There's a
on
bit of a
land
tongue
and
twister.
water, with Spyro starting out in an underwater cave. The seal inhabitants have got themselves into trouble by borrowing the Rhinox submarine and subsequently crashing it into a pile of rocks. The culprits were then thrown into a jail cell by the Rhinox, so it's up to Spyro to rescue.
One good thing about these pens,
On the
though,
way,
guys,
you'll need to
is they
defeat a
do
wide
have
variety of enemies, including
2
octopuses
sides, so
and
you can
stickbacks,
actually
scuba diving Rhinox that fire projectiles,
sort of go, oh, you know what, I need a thinner pen, so I'll
Rhinox
turn it
fighting
around and
seashells, and finally a mini
more
boss called
detailed
Pluto,
lines.
who uses a shark submarine to attack Spyro. Luckily, Spyro has his own naval vessel to attack with. Sheila's Out is home to the kangaroo herself, and is inhabited by lederhosen-wearing goats that speak with Swiss accents. Because why not? You'd expect Sheila to live somewhere that resembles the Australian outback, but nope, she seems more at home halfway up a mountain. Enemies here come in 2 varieties, Rhinox with ice
Sheila!
and angry moose that will try to
Sheila!
Mushrooms
Crazy mad
will
garden.
down to the size
That
of the
makes no
gut,
sense.
filled with giant mushrooms and dandelions, and part of the course will take you through overturned tree
I don't know what colour to do that.
spiders and butterflies to be exact. The names of the Sparks realms give you a basic idea of what you'll be up against. For example, this one is called Crawdad Farm, so expect to be attacked by crawdads and crabs here. The boss is the Crawdad King. Watch out for his fire and rocket attacks. Once you finish all the normal realms in a home world, the vehicle to take you to the next hub will be ready.
I don't know what
In
colour to
Sunrise
put that
Spring,
in
it's a
either.
green, just like the good old days of Spyro 1. Before you can access the next home world, you'll need to take on a big bad boss. While fighting each boss, the playable character can
What colours do you think?
Spyro out. Sunrise Spring's boss is Buzz, who started out life as a Rhinox before being transformed into a monstrous toad creature by Bianca, at the sorceress's command, of course. Sheila helps out in the fight and is ultimately the one to finish Buzz off, as all Spyro can do is charge Buzz into the green ooze surrounding the arena. Buzz has 3 phases. The first will have him try to avoid being charged by jumping left and right. The second phase has Buzz summoning a ring of fire for a few seconds after he jumps to protect himself from Spyro's charge attack. In the third phase, he'll not only jump and summon the fire circle, but spit fire at Spyro as well. He also has a spinning attack after he jumps out of the lava, but this can be outpaced by Spyro's charge speed. Overall, he's a relatively easy boss to defeat, which isn't surprising given he's the first one you come across if you don't count sub-bosses. Now we can move on to the second home world, Midday Gardens. As the name suggests, it's perpetual midday here, and the hub is made up of various gardens, fancy structures, and small bodies of water, the sort of thing you'd see in a stately home in the English countryside. It's quite an open hub, with plenty of space for Spyro to charge, but it's also surrounded by mountains on one side and a dense forest on the other. There's also an iced-over pool in a cave in this homeworld, odd considering the rest of the environment. Bianca again shows up as you enter Midday Gardens, but spends less time threatening Spyro and more time trying to warn him about the dangers of the Forgotten Worlds. She's seen later trying to practice her magic, which almost ends in complete disaster, until Hunter saves her from the monster bunny she's created, and in turn she rescues him from it. While she initially shows gratitude, Spyro's mockery at her lack of magic has her scurrying away, much to Hunter's annoyance. Do I smell a romance brewing? The second playable character you rescue from the evil moneybags is everybody's favourite military penguin, Sergeant James Bird. Taught to fly by hummingbirds and carrying the latest in weapons technology, the bird-to-air missile launchers, Sergeant Bird is not someone to be trifled with. He speaks with a British accent, and if the name wasn't obvious enough, he's a clear parody of 007 agent James Bond. Midday Gardens has 7 realms. One of the more memorable realms for me, and I'm sure other people, is Spooky Swamp, for a number of reasons. Firstly, the Firefly inhabitants speak in haiku all the time. Secondly, even though the realm is surrounded by water, you can't
I do not know what colours to do the buildings in, because I've now run out of colours that I can use, because I've used them all for the ground and things. Only because I had to. Because obviously the ground was on this side was green, this side was brown. But
Rhinox carrying lanterns, Rhinox with a slingshot, chompy alligators, stingy mosquitoes, and a sub-boss called Sleepyhead.
what else could I use? What else could I use? Oh, I'm stuck on colours. I hate getting to this point where I'm going, well, I've used that colour, I can't really use it here. I've used that colour, I can't really use it here. I don't want to go over colouring things and changing too much to the colour. I do have to maybe do the red. Hang on, where have I got?
It's quite an odd looking realm, with most of the architecture of things.
I could use that for the roof itself, but maybe leave the building in white and just shade it as is.
After she forced them to build it, and then complained about how ugly it is. The Rhinox in this realm are themed around construction workers and carry large hammers or ride jackhammers. There's even dragon flying geckos and Spitfire. Icy Peak realm is as you'd expect. A snowy mountainous region filled with frozen pools and ice crystals.
I think once this is dried, off stream obviously, but I think I'm going to go over I'm going to go over all the lines again and or with the pen just to make it pop out a little bit more, because I got a feeling that the pen isn't going to show, and I kind of still want the lines to still be there to see, so you can see all the different features on there.
Time for an Oriental-inspired realm by way of Bamboo Terrace, a world based on ancient China. The Panda inhabitants here are trying to work in their bamboo fields.
And again, guys, last week was Chinese Heritage, so if you want to see me draw Mulan, go and check that video out in the videos down below, or it is in her own playlist, which is Mulan and the Dragon. But there are many more videos from this month's theme, which is fire and fireworks. Hence why I did Spyro the Dragon, because he breathes fire. And I thought, as the new release of the new game come out, it would be sort of fitting, as I do like to game as well, and I will be gaming again this evening. It may be Hitman, and I may go over to my Mixer channel, but it all depends, because I had such problems with that last night. I was playing on the PlayStation as the prologue type version of it. And what I didn't realise that I hadn't actually downloaded the full version. I'd actually downloaded just the demo version, so I have already got the version of it on the Xbox. So I went over to my Xbox and started playing that, and I found that I was playing the same bit again. I have got the full game on the Xbox, because I have got Hitman downloaded from the Game Pass, which you can get with the Xbox. So I've got that one already to go. I did start playing it yesterday, but I did so badly I didn't even record it, guys. I did go live, so if you did catch that one, thank you very much for doing that, and I may go back over and do it again as I was feeling so bloody tired last
Not only
night.
do you need to get close enough to use the flame breath,
I
but you have to
thought,
make sure Spike won't flame you back in turn, which is
I
where
just couldn't
experienced my
concentrate.
first death in this
And it's
Spyro
such a
3.
hard, methodical game that you've just
Okay,
got to
you have started
constantly,
dropping blue crystals.
constantly thinking
Spike
about what
can
you got to
skip
do, where
directly
you're going
to
next.
explosive
Can't
damage.
get caught.
Again, Spike can use this to his advantage, sending
That's
away
enough
the
of that
plasma
game.
energy
We're talking
out
about
towards
Spyro today.
which will need to be outrun. Overall, an incredibly difficult fight that makes later bosses look like a cake.
I'm struggling for games at the moment because obviously Christmas is coming out, so I don't want to go spending game money on myself. I feel it's a bit selfish of myself. I'm trying to spend some money on my son to get him some nice and good Christmas presents.
A castle stands half submerged in the lake and can be climbed and glided from in order to reach the various eggs dotted about the homeworld. I also have to mention the whale swimming around the lake that swallows Spyro whole. It intentionally does so, as the whale's body houses a dragon egg called Jonah, of course, and once Spyro heads towards the whale's mouth, it happily spits him back out. Bianca will show up once again, but she isn't so hostile towards Spyro, and even promises to look after the rest of the dragon eggs if he and Hunter leave. Of course, Spyro would never leave without collecting the rest of the eggs, and Bianca is forced to take drastic measures, capturing Hunter by laying a trap for him. This can cause problems in some of the realms, depending on what order you do them in, as with Hunter captured, any minigame related to him will be unavailable for the time being. The playable character you'll meet in this homeworld is the eloquent Yeti Bentley. Contrary to what Moneybags says, Bentley is a highly intelligent creature, often using big, fancy words that leave Spyro scratching his head, and delivering brilliant lines such as this. Bentley has a younger brother named Bartholomew, who often gets into trouble and needs his big brother to bail him out. Evening Lake has 7 realms. The first I visited was Lost Fleet, as it takes a while to complete if you don't know where to go, and I kind of just wanted it out of the way. The realm is set in a ship graveyard of sorts, with several ships rotting away on the sand. The pools surrounding the ships are acidic, so not a pleasant experience for Spyro if he falls in. Crazy Ed, the treasure hunter, needs Spyro to clear out all the spooky ghosts.
Oh, I should do this in the same grey as this, and then sort of do the background with this colour here.
Other enemies include crabs, which are recycled by the
This colour here.
and even monsters from the
And then
first
they have
game,
that
though these ones won't attack you.
Evil Castle in
Frozen
grey.
Waters is a unique realm because Spyro won't have his flame breath as long as he stays here. Instead, the
I really
ice
don't know
fairy,
what to put colour in
Gabrielle,
here.
will grant him ice breath, which he can use to freeze solid allies and enemies alike. He can then either finish off an enemy with his charge attack, or use a frozen ally as a sort of stepping stone towards hard-to-reach areas. Spyro needs to help the inhabitants of Frozen Alphas take out the invading Rhinox, and the creepiest snowman I have ever seen.
I'm going to get my pencils, guys. Bear with me.
Probably the most loved realm of Spyro 3 has got to be Fireworks Factory. With an oriental flair, unique enemies such as the Rhinox Ninjas, and the return of 2 classic characters from the second game, Greta and Handel, it's not surprising to see why players love this realm. Also, Matrix parody. The goal is to help the 2 siblings destroy the sorceress's rocket before it can be sent into space. Charmed Ridge is another realm that stands out in my mind, for good and bad reasons. So the good. I love the, charm of this place, for lack of a better word. The inhabitants remind me of the oldie Spyro 1 days, where I helped the fairies of Lofty Castle. And just look at the colours! So pretty! The fairies need Spyro's help in stopping the cat wizards of Bellinia from forcing their princess Amy to marry the cat prince Azrael. What the fairies don't realise is that the 2 are actually very much in love, and would rather run away together than live under the other fairies and wizards' strict rules. Kids, eh? So what's the bad? The mini-games. I'll go into more detail in the gameplay section, but they bring back bad memories. Bentley's outpost is home to the Yeti himself and his younger brother. The design reminds me of the Tibetan levels from Tomb Raider 2. Snowy caves, falling icicles, even gongs to hit. While Bentley's been locked up, Rhinox have invaded his mountain home and kicked out Bartholomew. So Bentley needs to clear them all out and take back what's rightfully his. Enemies here include large torch-bearing Rhinox and seals to throw snowballs, because everybody knows seals live high up in the mountains. Honey Speedway is the 3rd speedway of the game, and I really don't like this one. We've already had a speedway based around giant bugs. Do we really need another? Regardless, Honey Speedway is as it sounds, a realm based around honey. Giant bumblebees make their home here, and there's even a river of honey flowing through the zone. If you recognise the background, that's because it's the same one used in the treetops around the Spyro 1, only with beehives hanging from the trees. Starfish Reef is the third Sparks realm. Enemies here are mainly small and large starfish, with the larger ones able to multiply when hit enough times. If you're not careful, Sparks can easily be overrun. Other enemies include eels that spit fire at Sparks, and of course the Manta Ray boss, one of the toughest opponents Sparks will come across. Its sporadic movements, ability to spawn smaller manta rays, and replicate itself certainly make it a challenge. During your travels through Evening Lake, Bianca will visit Hunter and apologise for capturing him, even bringing him some food to eat. She then explains why the dragons disappeared in the first place. After a dragon elder had a disagreement with the sorcerer, the evil crone banished them to the other side of the world. What she didn't realise at the time was that the dragons were the source of all magic, and without them, things began to go horribly wrong. Bianca believes this is why the sorceress wanted all the dragon eggs in the first place, to bring magic back. Later on, when you finish up in Evening Lake and jump on the rocket, Bianca finds out the sorceress's true plans for the hatchlings. She needs their wings to craft a spell that will make her live forever. Horrified at this news, Bianca rushes back to tell Hunter and free him. While the two of them head on to the next homeworld to wait for Spyro, our plucky purple dragon has his own problems to deal with, in the form of Scorch, the sorceress's latest monster. Scorch will fly around his arena and spit out eggs, which hatch into various creatures depending on what stage of the fight you're on. They start off as crabs, then become those freaky creatures with the TNT, then burning smileys, and finally Buzz, the boss from the first homeworld. The fight is a relatively simple one, with Bentley throwing ammunition at Spyro which can be used against Scorch. Just kill or dodge the spawned enemies and shoot at the big bad. It's time for the last homeworld, Midnight Mountain.
I'm going to turn on the side a second, guys. Get me a bit more.
Spyro 2, but this place is much grander. Though set atop a mountain, the grass is a vibrant turquoise green, with no snow in
You would
sight.
snap when you
And
really
rather than one
Alright,
solid
have
chunk
to
of
find your
land,
pencil sharpener. Yeah.
islands connected by bridges. It's also the only homeworld that features pink oozing liquid rather than the usual clear bodies of water that Spyro can swim in, and the only one he can die in by falling off into the abyss below. My favourite thing about Midnight Mountain is the beautiful midnight sky. Stars and galaxies can be seen overhead, and the colours are a beautiful mix of pinks, purples and blues. Bianca shows up at the start of Midnight Mountain and promises to help
My
Spyro
electric
stop
box saying,
the
"Oh, you
monsters
run
and
out of
monsters."
electric. You
Tells
can
him
go
to
on to the
collect more eggs to
emergency
strengthen her
because I've
magic,
just
and in
popped you
turn,
up."
she will unlock the hidden portal that leads to the sorceress's lair. Once this is done, she'll wait by the entrance to the lair, warning Spyro to be careful, as her once mentor will be expecting him. The last playable character you'll meet in Spyro 3 is the wacky monkey, Agent 9. Starting out life as a lab monkey, Agent 9 was taught how to fight and given his signature laser blaster by the professor from Spyro 2, who we even get to meet again in Agent 9's lab. He has a deep hatred of Rhinox, and coupled with his completely deranged nature, he can be a very unpredictable and dangerous creature to be around. Midnight Mountain technically has 8 realms, but one is a super secret place that I won't mention just yet. Let's start off with one of the more interesting realms, Crystal Islands, because it's not a Spyro game unless there's a realm filled with crystals. What this realm lacks in size, it makes up for in design and content. Spyro needs to help the wizards at Crystal Islands sort out a problem caused by their misuse of the sorceress's magic, namely turning everything around them into crystal, including the animals that live here. The magicians will help Spyro traverse Crystal Islands by magicking up gems that he can use as platforms. The one thing that makes this realm stand out is the ability to fly using the power-up portal. Desert Ruins will be the second time I mention Tomb Raider in a Spyro video, as this realm is basically a spoof of Lara Croft's adventures through ancient ruins. Even the objective is to find Gus's girlfriend, Tara. On the way, you'll run into scorpions of various sizes that will either fire spikes or bursts of flame at Spyro, and fire breathers that heat up the floor they're standing on by splitting up magma. Haunted Tomb is another personal favourite of mine due to the ancient Egypt aesthetic. I swear they left all the good realms for the last homeworld. Though the inhabitants of Haunted Tombs aren't desperately in need of Spyro's help, they'll still take a task for him, in the form of riddles and making his way through the tomb. This is one of the more tedious realms to complete, as a lot of enemies can't be destroyed by Spyro's flame or charge attacks. Instead, he needs to make use of the exploding rocks to finish off the mummified Earth Shapers and the sarcophagi that spawn endless waves of mummy rhinos.
Okay, that worked out okay.
Rhinos. Oh boy, this one was a toughie for me, mainly because of my slow reactions when dealing with the bandits. This realm is set in the old Wild West, and most of the enemies are gun-toting, dynamite-throwing cowboy dinosaurs. Sparrow needs to help free the Sheriff Wyatt by making his way through the realm, and taking out the notorious Dino Gang along the way. Time to visit Agent 9's lab. Set on a tropical island, the lab is home to the Mad Monkey himself and the Professor. Unfortunately, Rhinox have recently invaded the island and plan to destroy the Professor's research, so it's Agent 9's job to blast them all to smithereens. The last speedway in the game is Harbour Speedway. It can be considered very bland when compared to other speedways, given the muted colours and thick shroud of fog hiding the background, but I quite like it. It's a nice change from giant bugs at least. The inhabitants here are of course animals that make their home at or in the sea. Lobsters, sardines, and even albatrosses that, with their pilot helmets on, bear a striking resemblance to Orville from the Rescuers. And finally, the last Sparks realm, which won't be available until you defeat the Sorceress. Bugbot Factory is very different from the previous Sparks realms. The environment is made entirely of metal, the enemies are much more dangerous, and there are these annoying little beetles that like to steal the keys you need. Let me kill you! The boss of Bugbot Factory, the robotic centipede, can be a challenge for Sparks. Unless you hold on to the power-up you got earlier, then it's a cakewalk. Once you've collected enough eggs, it's time to take on the evil Sorceress. Agent 9 will help Sparrow out by shooting down the conveniently placed balloon goodies dotted about the arena. It can be difficult getting the initial phase done without taking damage, as Sparrow needs to hop onto a cannon and fire at the Sorceress before she hits him with a fireball or electric attack. Luckily, some of the balloons will occasionally drop a sheep to recover health. Once the first phase is done, the cannons will be replaced with hoverboards, and it's basically the same thing. Shoot the Sorceress, avoid damage. Finally, you'll get to the UFO stage, the most difficult part in my opinion, due to trying to turn the cumbersome vehicle, shoot at the Sorceress, and avoid damage all at the same time. Eventually you'll defeat her though, and she'll be thrown into lava, never to be seen again. Or not? The ending of Year of the Dragon treats you to a number of cutscenes, starting out with Bentley interviewing Spyro, which pays homage to the ending of the first game. Spyro then asks if Bentley knows where Hunt has gone, but Bentley plays ignorant. Spyro then visits Agent 9's lab to talk to the Professor and old-time friend Alora. She asks him if he's going to visit her in Avalar, but he tells her he needs to find the rest of the eggs and look for Hunter. Agent 9 almost tells Spyro where he's gone, but is cut off by the Professor, leaving Spyro suspicious. It's only when he visits Sheila that he finds out what's happened to the fairy numbskull. Turns out Hunter and Bianca have fallen in love and are enjoying a romantic evening watching fireworks. And that's pretty much the end of the game, unless you unlock the super bonus round by collecting all 15,000 gems and 149 eggs. Now, I don't want to go into too much detail about this realm. One, because it's a bonus level and you know my policy on those. And two, because I couldn't actually finish it due to a stupid minigame that I still hate to this day. But besides that minigame, it's really fun to complete and has a shock surprise at the end. Well, if you're 6 years old, it's a surprise, but you know what I mean. Gameplay. Before I discuss anything to do with character abilities, minigames, and so on, I want to mention the auto-challenge tuning.
Okay, right. That's pretty much all I'm going to do to this, guys, because there isn't much else I can do to this. So what do you think? Have you enjoyed today's video? Have you enjoyed the story in the background? And have you liked the history that you've been able to listen to? I'm going to be digitizing this again tomorrow, guys, as I always do. So don't forget to hit subscribe and let me know what you thought of this picture in the comment section down below if you're catching back. And if you've made it all this way to this end, then let me know, because I'd love to know what you guys think. Otherwise, I'll catch you next time. My name's been Blut084, BLUT084, Art and Games, here every day on YouTube, occasionally on Mixer, but every day and night over on Instagram. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.